Hello, hello. Do you hear me? Ah, je vous entends pas. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
It's okay for you?
You mean you are talking to me?
Yes.
I'm Radka Valdova from the Czech Republic,
Yes.
and I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay. Perfect. It's possible to down your web camera?
So you mean may I close the web camera?
Just your little down. No, no, no. Yes,
Down?
yes,
That's
yes.
right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, and what time I will start? Do you know that?
Ladies and gentlemen, before starting our plenary session, sorry, we have bad news, and for that, I will give my microphone to Maurizio. Welcome.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will steal you just 30 seconds of your time in memory of Franco Iovane. Franco Iovane has been the founder of Future in 2005. He has been a fighter for Europe and for European technologies. So what we have to say is that we are very sad for this loss. And what we can say to Franco and to his family is that we will continue the same battle for Europe and for European technology and manufacturing. Thanks. Please join me clapping for Franco.
Thank you. And now, if you want, let's go to the last plenary session. Top. Okay, welcome to all of you for our closing plenary session. I hope you have had a great morning and an enjoyable lunch. We have many exciting guests joining us this afternoon. Without further, I would like to welcome someone who has proven that dreams can come true. Aeromobile will market the first real flying car in 2024. Your applause, please, for Joaz Vakulik, founding CEO of Aeromobile, an advanced engineering company. Welcome.
Okay, so bonjour, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you, organizers, for having me here. And I would like to share with you one dream. I try to make it a little bit entertaining for the final session, so I hope you will enjoy this presentation. The dream for the flying cars was here for almost 500 years. Even Leonardo da Vinci, he was dreaming and he was doing some sketches how to combine the aerial and vehicle. And for this event, I prepared one very special video, which is like covering shortly 20th century, how it becomes the part of this dreaming. Please the sound.
The science fiction of the flying car with all moving parts may be closer than you think to a science reality.
What are the first things that come to mind if I ask you to imagine the future? Almost anyone who tries to imagine the future, pictures of flying automobiles pop into their head. It feels like this concept is ingrained so deep in our culture to the point that many people believe that the sky being dominated by flying cars is only a matter of time. Maybe this is natural, since the vehicles are depicted countless times in pop culture and media.
To the French, please. Okay, thanks to the French culture, because this was the most influential movie of my childhood. So France has a big influence of this project. But it's not only in European culture, of course, in US, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Jetsons are those cultural icons. There were several military projects. You will be maybe surprised that the first official trial for the flying car happens in the US in 1970s. So very few years after the first plane and the first car was created. Of course, James Bond is not missing in this edit. But it's demonstrating how really flying car vision and a dream was, and it is with us for the centuries. Another famous one. And let's then end up again with the French influence of automobile, Luc Besson. Okay, I think it's enough. So what our company is doing is definitely not the movies, but we are building a sustainable, functional, and we believe a really game-changing solution, technology, and an industry. What does it mean? That what we are offering, and you will see on the following slides, is a disrupting technology which will serve mostly to the regional mobility. And we can make trips in a range from 100 to 500 miles almost 80% most efficient by the time. Our business strategy is based on the two products in the first years. First one, that's a two-seater, is like a market opener. I will explain later. And the second one, this will serve as a mobility as a service. Another video, which is covering now us and our prototyping and technology phase, and it's starting in 2015. And it also has a link to this conference because in 2016 we were presenting our vision in Bratislava during similar session. So you can see now what kind of development we achieved since then. So in 2015, we introduced this blue and white version, which is called Automobile 3.0, which also says that before this, we had two different prototypes, but this one was fully functional. It was tested. It did several demonstration flights. It was already incorporating the basic design and some patents, which we hold, global ones. You saw at the beginning that we built and engineered the landing gear and suspension in a way that we can land easily from grass tree, from tarmac. 2017, we introduced what is the first commercially available vehicle. And let's think about this like Ferrari with the wings. But it's with like each new technology. It starts with a limited series. Let's imagine the first mobile phones. It was bulky devices just for a few of us. But in really few years, now each of us is holding this, and it changed our lives so significantly. So yeah, we are testing on a regular basis on different airports. Soon we'll get the full European testing certification. So next time I can fly here on a vehicle, and it's demonstrated that the progress is going on. So, as I said, the first one, its initial series, it will be just a few hundreds of them with a pretty high price tag. But this is just a market opener. It will serve as a proof of technology, as a proof of use cases, and of course, we are building a global brand. You can think about this vehicle as a kind of Tesla Roadster, which was, again, limited series just for the few people, but this starts a really important journey into the fully electric drive. Some pictures, of course, flying car is such a vision that all global media are totally excited from the early years of the company. So just few quotes, even the younger generation, and that's great for us. There is one number from TikTok when we released one video in November or in December in Miami from the US road trip. One post got two. Mike, okay, 2.2 billion, thanks, views. But the main business, main vision, and the main influence will make this vehicle. This is called Automobile Next as a four-seater. We will be not selling the vehicles. We will be offering it as a service. So you can easily take 4 people onto the ride. We have 2 versions. The engine bay is created in a way that it could be even hybrid. But once battery technologies will be good enough, it could be full electric. It will give you what we call door-to-door transportation, and that's amazing. You don't need to change the transportation modes. That's the biggest hassle in the transportation. The vehicle will pick you up, and on a single seat, really door-to-door, you can get very efficiently into the final destination. Here's just a few examples that how this market opportunity is a really huge one. I will explain why we have American figures there. First of all, because this study was made for us by McKinsey. They even interviewed 6,000 people, and that they did several months really huge research on American market. So in single terms, automobile will serve those cases when it's too long to drive and it's too short to fly with a commercial airliner or with a private jet. And this market, in just in the US, it's 70 billion per year. So you can compare with some other similar solutions. As I said, sustainability is a big part of our vision, but unfortunately, there is still not good enough battery technology, and for such a range, it will be limiting our vehicle. But what we created, we tested several powertrain solutions with some really world-leading companies, and finally, we have a very unique engine engineered for us by one of the leading European automotive companies, and it will be the greenest aviation engine. Why? Because we have to also fulfill all the regulation on the road with the emission standards. And you know that in the air, there are not such strict emission limits. So as we have to fulfill them on ground, we will have it also in the air. What we also realized, and we got that feedback also from EASA, European Aviation Safety Agency, we are working with, that our plane will be the safest plane, because there is no other plane which has a pyrotechnic seat belts, airbags, and so on. Again, we have to install them because it's also the car. Of course, many of you definitely heard about what's called eVTOL or VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. Let's call it electrical helicopters. I believe too that once this will be a very important technology, but there are so many limits these days. Batteries are the first one. It's really hundreds of projects. Many of them already died because of all those limits. But what we had as a vision at the early days, that our company will be building the vision, not waiting for some future regulation. Of course, this will happen and it will take some years. But in the current infrastructure, with the current technology, and in the current regulatory, there is more and more now articles realizing that the technology is one part, but the second part, and very important, maybe even more important, is infrastructure. And there is no one. Of course, there is few heliports. People can build in some demonstrative cities some vertiports for these vehicles, but still there is a huge problem. Here is a very short comparison of our technology to eVTOLs. So as I said, range is very important. Existing regulation, infrastructure, fixed wing is definitely much more efficient than rotorcraft, and that's the reason why we have so many planes and not so many helicopters, and proven technology. Another example, this is from the study on the US market. So you can see that how big opportunity it's laying just in the West. So those lines are representing all the trips which could be arranged and solved with our technology today. And the time saving is really crucial, especially in metropolitan areas. When I was mentioning infrastructure, this is just one example of Florida. You can see that it's so many airstrips, private ones. Of course, we will be not utilizing the main airports, but it's so many private airstrips, many golf courses, they have their own landing strips. So yeah, there is a huge opportunity. Here's a short timeline. So the first 4 years, it was like the early research and the basic development. Then 5 years from 2015 to 20, design, engineering, prototyping. I can mention that really the best minds from all around the world was working on automobile, from Lockheed Martin, Airbus, Boeing. Big part of the team is from McLaren, Aston Martin, Ferrari, and so on. So yeah, this mind value was invested into the product. We are bringing the best from European and US people, so I will be not presenting all the team members, but yeah, that's us. We have in a board and as a very active members, Anthony Sharif, who is behind McLaren Automotive, Jordan Hensel, the most knowledgeable guy on this technology because he serves for as a CEO of NetJets, the most successful private jet company, and so on. Many people from aviation. Ross Bradley, he was head of Eurofighter program. And we have also the French presence. We have our own cardinal, Hugo Cardinal, who is our airworthiness expert. This project was supported indirectly also from Europe. In early years, we got from Slovak government one grant and also some equity investment. But I have to say on this stage that it's pretty problematic to make this vision and this business in Europe. So we are now in a final decision phase when we are now discussing with some partners to relocate the business into the US, because it's much easier to get really strategic partners for this project. We tried all the major European companies. Also, several states in the US are very actively now supporting what's called future aviation with the heavy investments and, of course, the private investors. The company is funded mostly privately. First 5 years, just my money, then some investors from Israel, China, US, Europe. But now, as we are heading into the production, we are really planning, unfortunately, as my dream was really to have this as a flagship project for Europe into the US. And I will end up this presentation, I hope not too long, with the emotional part, how we are presenting this first commercially available vehicle. So please enjoy the last video. Thank you very much.
Many thanks to Juraj Vakulik. A dream. Thank you. Your applause, please, for Juraj Vakulik. Time to change computer. In a few minutes, we have the great privilege to welcome a famous adventurer, one of the greatest adventurers of modern time. A round of applause for Mike Horn. Mike Horn is here with us. It's for you.
Well, it's always more difficult to do these presentations than actually do the expeditions. So many, many years ago, I was born in South Africa. South Africa was boycotted at that stage. And as I was a young boy that had big dreams, I knew that no boycott, no rule, no regulation is going to hold me down. I've got to create my own world in this changing world. And if you cannot create your own world, you will always be part of a system that won't allow you to develop, won't allow you to grow, and won't allow you to dream big. So today, I think the future of our world not only lies in how we think, but lies in how big we dream. And the moment that you fear your dreams is the moment that you're dreaming the right size. And I was told by my father, that was a South African rugby player playing for the Springboks. And for the French is not the best team in the world. The South Africans are the best rugby team in the world. So, so coming from a true South African Afrikaans background, living for more than 30 years in Switzerland, coming to France every day, I believe that my view of the world as a professional explorer allows me to dream big. And if I've got one message for you all, what we've just seen is a dream. And any dream, no matter the size, you can make true. But you've got to be convinced that you have the capability of making it come true. Your conviction motivates other people believing in you. And the moment that you're convinced that you can do something is the moment that other people start believing in you. So being a professional explorer for quite a while allowed me to not only test my physical and mental capabilities, but as well to develop and do research in tents, sleeping bags, skis, and eventually today evolved into technology. So I'm not only an explorer, I'm not only a psychologist, because that's what I studied with sport injuries and sports psychology. I am as well somebody that would like to decarbonize the world, my playing field that I've seen changed. In 30 years, I spent more days outside than in my own bed. In the last 5 years, I only slept 32 days in my own bed. 32 days in 5 years is not a lot of time. So I've seen the world change. And I would like to share with you a couple of images. But not only to share with you places that you haven't been and I have been, but I want to share with you why I believe that technology and innovation is the answer to the future of our planet. First of all, today we're living in an unstable environment. The younger people of today is better equipped than ever before to adapt quickly to changing environments. Unfortunately, we had COVID. We had the war. We've got the economical crisis on us. And we haven't even considered what nature's going to throw on us. That's the real problem. It's not the COVID. It's not the war. It's our environment that's going to bring us down to our knees. And that is what we're misunderstanding today. We're looking at the wrong problem. We're addressing the wrong problem. We've got to look at the future of our planet and the environment and not create more problems than there will be, and always see the past better than it was and the future worse than what it will be. We've got to live in the moment present. And in the moment present, you can make realistic analysis of what needs to be done. Yes, dreams will make us do amazing things. But understanding what's happening now is where the answer lies. So I'm going to show you a couple of images, I think. This is something completely stupid to do. A year ago, I went to Svalbard, Spitsbergen. I don't know if you guys know where it is. If you don't know where it is, it doesn't matter. It's up north above the Arctic Circle. And we've got icebergs detaching from floating glaciers. I saw this beautiful iceberg, and I'm the guy in the middle, and my friend Fred Roux, that's a mountain guide, that I've climbed 8,000 meters peaks with, without oxygen, without ropes, without Sherpas, solo from base camp to the top. We do stupid things sometimes. But what allows us to do those things? It's the courage that we need for everything in life. Courage is something that we all have or don't have. And it's something that we can acquire. And the moment you can acquire courage, That's when you step out of your comfort zone. If you're afraid of losing, you can never win. It's only quand l'envie de gagner, or the willingness to win, becomes bigger than the fear to lose, that we can really win. But if you're always thinking of what do I have to lose? I'm going to lose my job, my car, my friends, my credibility, and all these things. You're so afraid of what other people think about you that you're never going to win. And that's the essence of life. My father, I said earlier, was a South African rugby player. I walked down the streets with him after the rugby match that he played, beating the All Blacks, beating the French, the British Lions, and everybody came to him and said, "Wow, what an amazing match you played." I was so proud of him because he was an example to me. Who is your example? Who makes you proud to be? Who do you aspire to be like? Who inspires you? And who do you inspire? I think those questions we never ask ourselves. So we're not fueling the source of change. So when my father played his last rugby match, I went into the changing rooms, the vestiaire, with him. And he was sitting in the vestiaire, in the changing room, and he took his rugby jersey off, and I saw these big muscles. And then the younger players came to him and said, "You know, you were always first at the training. You were always last to leave the training. You were always there to willingness listen to our problems. You were always there to give us advice." And when they said all these things, I said, I want to be like him. So, to be able to be first, where you can make the difference, not the last. To be able to stay the longest, because you want to make that change. To be able to listen to people's problems. To be able to add advice. Imagine everybody could be like that. I think the world will change quite rapidly. And when the younger players left my father, and I said to him, "You know, I want to be like you," you know what my father said? "You can never be me. You are who you are." And that's the easiest person to be. So I think at the end of the day, it's quite simple. To be who you are makes you unique. We're all unique individuals. And we all have something amazing in ourselves to add to each other. Why do we have to râler? That's, râler, c'est the pastime of the French. When I arrive in Paris and it's a beautiful day and I get into the taxi driver tells me, I said, "Wow, what an amazing day." And he says, "No, it's too hot." Râler, it's the charme that makes everybody exist. But imagine you don't have to râle. It will be a much better place. Appreciation of the situation is what makes the world interesting, no? Not complaining about the world, but building the world. So when my father said, "You cannot be me, the easiest person is to be yourself," that's when I understand that we all have unique values. And put these unique values together, that's why we're all here. To share, to experience, to build, to get ideas, to make us dream. That's evolution. And that's human interactions that leads to solutions. So every morning my father went running at 6 o'clock. From the age of 8 years old, every morning at 6 o'clock I was awake and I went running. I never could keep up to my father because my father never ran any slower for me to keep up. I had to run faster for him, to stay with him. And when I couldn't stay with him, on the trottoir, on the pavement, I drew a line. Because that is where I could stay with him, and there I could not stay with him. So I understood what I needed to do the next day to cross that line, to do a little bit better. And this is no lie. Every day I beat that line. Imagine you can wake up every day from a young boy and have an objective that you feel great about yourself, that you build kids. You don't limit them, you build them. And then we've got a brighter future. When my father asked me, why do you think the people say that I've been an example? I said, the people say that you're an example because you want to wake up in the morning to go running, and each morning you do it, no matter if it rains or if it's snowing or it's windy, you do it. So he said, what do you need to be able to do what you need to do? And I said, you need discipline. Discipline is much bigger than any motivation. People that tell you that you have to pense positif, that you have to think positive, and say, ra, 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 tout va bien, that's a load of crap. I'm sorry to say. If you need to motivate yourself every day to wake up to do what you need to do, you better change your job. It's easier. In life, you need discipline to be able to do what you don't like doing. And the moment you have discipline is the moment that motivation happens. At minus 50, when I crossed the North Pole, when I crossed the South Pole, when I swam down the Amazon for 7,000 kilometers, do you think it's nice every morning to wake up in a tent at minus 50, cut off your own fingers, freeze, can't even have a pee outside because it's too cold? Do you think I'm motivated? No, I'm not motivated. I'm just disciplined. That's why I get out and do things. So discipline is what drives man much further than motivation. The iceberg. I'll show you what happens if it works. On va pointer là. Okay, there's a little bit of sound. So, looked at the iceberg floating. And what's happening? A little bit of a problem, no? Not a small problem, a big problem because we're losing our life. Is it stupid to climb that iceberg? Yes. I think we all agree now that it's not really intelligent to climb an iceberg like that can turn, because it's not climbing the iceberg that's difficult. It's the moment that you fall into the water at minus 1 degree that your life becomes very short. Now, the consequences of the iceberg. Now, let's forget about the iceberg and think of the iceberg as our world. And if this works a little bit, see if it... Voilà. Let's think of the iceberg as the world. What made that iceberg turn? The weight of 2 people on the iceberg. That's a small little, I weigh nearly 90 kilograms. Fred, il est un peu plus gros. He's got a little bit bigger belly than me. He weighs about 92 kilos. So we've got 180 kilograms added to the weight of the iceberg. That's one thing that makes the iceberg possibly turn. because everything in the planet or on that iceberg is in harmony. Then the second thing is when they dropped us off, the boat was pushing against the iceberg and stopping the iceberg from freely moving. So we disrupt the harmony of the iceberg. Just by putting two people on the iceberg. But is it still enough to make this iceberg turn? No, maybe not. Now, the boat is moving away from the iceberg. And when you put the boat in reverse, if you guys understand what the word means, prop wash, c'est des hélices qui tournent en l'envers. It's propellers that turns the wrong way around and pushes water towards the iceberg. And what happens if you got an iceberg where you only see 1/9 on the outside and 9/10 at the bottom? The current of the props, now with the people on the iceberg and the boat pushing on the iceberg, will make the iceberg turn. Now imagine that our world, the world that we live in, is the iceberg. We have made so many mistakes that won't make our planet disappear straight away, but that accumulates, that will eventually make the planet turn, like it made the iceberg turn. Now, is it dangerous to climb the iceberg? You all said yes. Is it dangerous to continue polluting like we're polluting? And you say no. Or maybe you say yes. Those little things that we're adding to make our planet stress will make our planet a dangerous place to live in. And that's no joke. It's not COVID. That's just a little thing. It's not the war. That's just a little thing. It's actually a lot of little things that makes the iceberg turn. We all said it's dangerous to climb that iceberg. But do you know that I know how to swim in the Arctic Ocean? I don't mind being in the water. I go every morning of my life in water of -1, -2 degrees, and I stay in that cold water for as long as I can. When I started, I could keep 2 minutes. Now, I'm nearly at 15 minutes. I can survive for 15 minutes. So I know how to swim. That's why I climb the iceberg. Not all of us know how to swim. So let's start by understanding how we need to swim. And that's by creating new innovations for our planet. We're preparing ourselves for the worst. Now, a year before that, I wanted to cross the North Pole. The first blaireau sur la planète, the first person on the planet to ski without a resupply from Alaska via the North Pole to Svalbard or Spitsbergen. No human being on the planet ever survived a full crossing of the North Pole. No rescue possible. The moment that you leave the boat is the moment that you have to take care of yourself for more than 138 days. So we had to sail with a boat that I built in the São Paulo favelas, in the slums of São Paulo, to 85 degrees north where no boat has ever been. I'm meaning a little sailboat, not a nuclear icebreaker. And I built the boat for one purpose, to be able to one day cross the North Pole. Because nobody wanted to take me there, I had to create my own transport to get there. And just a couple of images for you guys to really see what the Arctic Ocean looks like. No boat has ever sailed to 85 degrees north and then sailed out. So this is the Arctic Ocean that's always frozen at the end of summer. As we can see, there's thick ice, there's open water, there's thinner ice. And the ice pack has become so fragile that everywhere we have a crack, we have dark water absorbing heat and the ice reflecting heat. So the ocean is busy warming up. And when we speak about 1.5 degrees in ocean temperature rise, what does that really mean? 1.5 degrees in ocean temperature rise might not sound a lot, but it's equivalent to 22 degrees on Earth. Meaning that all the water in the ocean is heated up by 1.5 degrees. If you take that temperature and you put it on land, it's 22 degrees. And we can't even survive hardly today. So 22 degrees more is a problem for us. That's why the ice is looking like that. Then I started heading off the boat because the boat couldn't move forward. Enough food and enough fuel for 138 days. And what did I realize? That some places on the Arctic Ocean, the ice has become so thin that it's breaking up everywhere. I could not ski anymore. In 2006, I went from Russia to the North Pole the first time. In 2006, I measured the ice on the North Pole. The ice was 2 meters 56 centimeters thick because I made a landing strip for a Russian Antonov that did research on the North Pole. I made the landing strip. I measured the ice, and when I brought in the Antonov to land, I had to make sure that the ice is thick enough that the Antonov with my children inside won't go through the ice. So I measured the ice. Last year, when I crossed, I arrived on the North Pole. And on the North Pole, the ice was 8 centimeters thick. From 2 meters 50 to 8 centimeters. Only in 14 years. So when I left the North Pole, I thought in my mind, whoa, imagine that in 14 years from now, we will have no ice on the North Pole. If we have no ice on the North Pole, will the water level rise? No. But will the planet heat up? Yes. Because imagine we all live in this piece, in this room, dans cette pièce, and we close the doors and we close the windows and we switch off the air conditioning system. What's going to happen? It's going to heat up. And when it's becoming too hot, we're going to say, please open the doors, please open the windows so we can have an influx of colder air into this building. And I'm going to tell you, we can't open the doors, we can't open the windows because they're locked forever. Now, if the ice melts on the North Pole, it's like a door and a window that cools down this room that we can never open again because that keeps the temperatures low on planet Earth. It's not the ocean level rise. It's the heating. And we're just at the start of it. I have seen the world change in 30 years of exploration like very few people. The changes where we don't live is happening rapidly. But I've got hope. Because the moment you lose hope, you've got zero chance. And I think that's why we're all here. Now, I'm going to quickly end this so I don't bore you any longer with my stories. But just a couple of images of the crossing of the North Pole. As you can see, rubble, a lot of rubble ice. Open water. In the middle of winter. 24-hour darkness, day in, day out. minus 40 temperatures, but the ocean is our problem because it's the ocean heating up. Now, polar bears are a very good indication of changes, no? Do you know a polar bear can smell 50 kilometers? So imagine je pète ici, un ours le sent à 50 kilomètres. If I would make a smell or fart, the polar bear can smell it for 50 kilometers. A human can't do that. A polar bear can walk, just marcher, hein, for 80 kilometers a day. With a lot of effort, I can walk 56 kilometers a day. A polar bear, when he gets into the water, can swim 100 kilometers. Can we as human beings swim 100 kilometers? No. So, a polar bear is a 4x4. It's a four-wheel drive, SUV of the Arctic Ocean. It can walk, it can swim, it can smell to survive because food's scarce. You've got open water as you have got ice. So it's perfectly adapted to the polar ocean. In 2006, I saw polar bears every third or fourth day. There's even a polar bear that sat on the tent to get into my sled, and he sat on the tent on top of me inside the tent. In 2019 and 2020, when I crossed the polar ocean, do you know that I didn't see one polar bear in 138 days? Where are they gone to? Where have they been? They cannot survive on the polar ocean anymore because the water has become so much water that the seals breathe in the middle of the water and not on top of the ice anymore. So they can't find food. So where does the polar bears go? They go north of Canada, Alaska, Russia. And what do? They eat people and dogs. Do you know that the male polar bear today kills his own cubs? So that the female polar bears that give birth to the cubs and keeps the cubs for 3 years, now there's not enough females for the males to mate. So the male polar bear kills the cubs for the female to go back on chaleur, to go back on heat, that he can mate with her. So what does the female do? The female lives close to the villages, the Inuit and the Eskimo villages. And as soon as the male comes in to kill the cubs, she runs into the village to be protected by the people. And you know what the people do? They kill the bear. The people, us. Oh, time to go. It's not 100% stupid, the reaction of human beings. But we need to think a little bit deeper today of our impact on the environment and what we're doing. It's not surface thinking anymore. We've come to the Rubicon, the point of no return. And if we're looking at the indications, then we've got to make positive decisions. So that's why I'm here. I went to the CEA and I asked them to develop a fuel cell for me that can change mobility, that can decarbonize. A year later, they came with an amazing invention. To change mobility in the future, to be able to drive technology, to be able to decarbonize industries. And a company, InnoCell, was born. InnoCell used 25 years of experience of the CEA and developed a new generation fuel cell right in the right moment to be able now to provide power, to be able to change mobility, to be able to decarbonize industries. And that's what I've been doing. I did a stupid thing, more stupid than climbing the iceberg. I did a Dakar rally. It's a Dakar rally. You jump in a car and you drive 12,000 kilometers through the desert. And wow, 600 chevaux, you go fast and it's exciting, but you're destroying and polluting the planet. I was criticized by 62 million people because I said the ice was melting and the polar bears are dying, and then I'm driving in a car through the desert. 62 million people said Mike Horn is a big idiot. Yes, sorry guys, we make mistakes. But that mistake I corrected by saying, I will change mobility. I will build a car that has zero impact on the environment. And today, thanks to the research and development that was done by the CEA, we've launched InnoCell. And InnoCell was launched a month ago, 1.5 years after I was criticized. So from a blank page to a company that can decarbonize, that's employing 30 people before the end of the year, that can provide fuel cells to all mobility sectors. That gives me hope. And you know what? I believe that the moment you have hope, there's future. I think there's a little video. Maybe we can launch it from the top.
Hi, my name is Mike Horn. In 2021, I started the mission of reinventing fuel cell technology. I turned to Mauro Ricci, founder and former CEO of Akka Technologies, to drive this project to the next level. From that collaboration, InnoCell was launched. InnoCell is a disruptive company, bringing around the same table technological, industrial, and engineering experts to offer a complete end-to-end hydrogen energy chain solutions, notably innovative, low-temperature fuel cells. InnoCell solutions are made for heavy-duty marine and land mobility applications, with the need for sustainability and efficiency, as well as in the high-performance applications. The company also positions itself in stationary and intermittent power generation applications. Its mission is to accelerate the industrialization of efficient and competitive hydrogen systems on the global market. InnoCell will contribute to redefine the future of mobility and power generation by releasing state-of-the-art high-power PEM fuel cells with a design based on more than 20 years of research and development in this field. Our product will be packaged in modules. When combined, these modules will deliver up to 2 megawatts. InnoCell is committed to change the future of hydrogen energy by accelerating the ecosystem revolution and helping industrial companies perform their transition to cleaner energy.
So if you can think of climbing icebergs to innovation, technology, and changes, we're at that crossroad that we need energy today. What's happening in the world forces us to make changes. Don't always look at the bad, look at the good of what we can get out of the ecosystem that we're living in today. So, how did I finance InnoCell? I can't say my salary, but it's not more than 5,000 euros a month. I sold everything I had. And each month the CEA sent me a bill and they said, you've got 10 days to pay or 30 days to pay. I said, okay, I'm going on expedition. But my expedition was basically to be able to put people together, to motivate and inspire people. And eventually, I got the people to believe in what the CEA developed for me and into my mission of decarbonizing this planet. So I believe that now we're in a strong position to be able to really go out and meet the decarbonized goals that we set, the European goals for 2030 and 2035. And that it's no longer a real dream, but now it's become reality. My father, that kept running faster every morning, and I had to do more and work harder to keep up with him. When he asked me the last question, it was, Mike, why do you think I wake up every morning to go running? I didn't really have the answer. And then he answered the question. He said, every morning when I hear your little footsteps behind me and I run past that line that's drawn on the pavement, you inspire me. Inspiration at any age, at any level, no matter how big, how small. One person is not more important than the other person. We all have our roles to play. We need to inspire each other. Thank you very much.
Michael, your big applause. Thank you, Mike. We like your positive energy. Fantastic. Anything is possible. Let's go back. Let's go back to what we have seen since yesterday. What's the bottom line on all this? How will the Commission bounce back? We find Joanna Dyke. Your applause, please, for Joanna.
Thank you very much for those inspiring presentations. Yeah, we all need to inspire each other all the time, and we need to believe that we are. That's where the journey starts, believe. And then the rest will follow. Ladies and gentlemen, very rich presentations, very rich conference days. We had 20 sessions, we had 70 excellent speakers, despite some flight cancellations or train being delayed. And we had a lot of ideas, proposals, problems, solutions, ways forward. 11 villages, lively discussions organized, sparks flowing all over the place. It's not over yet, actually. Tomorrow there are workshops on open innovation test beds and acceleration platforms which are still to take place. Let me express, first of all, my sincere thanks to the French Presidency, to the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, and the Commissariat Énergie Atomique, CEA, for the great hospitality. Great feeling to be back in a large conference in physical setting. I think this was appreciated by all. It was a bit maybe awkward at the beginning to get used to it, but I think we soon warmed up to the idea. And the last 2 years, Europe has faced a series of dramatic challenges, COVID, Russian invasion of Ukraine. And in these new circumstances, we need a new innovation policy that is also fit for purpose. We need new ideas, we need new solutions, new attitudes, new ways to govern, new ways to decide, new ways how to find what is common, and new ways how we get together, destroy the silos, and get working together. And this is also innovative. But we have to make it work. But we also need the accelerating agents, maybe not the car in the car, but we need the green and digital transitions to be accelerated in order to secure our technological sovereignty, which we have spoken about a lot during these 2 days. In the coming weeks, the Commission will adopt the communication on a new European innovation agenda with the aim of reinforcing European leadership in deep tech innovations by bringing up together policies, investments, and instruments in a coherent, joined-up approach in order to drive systemic change and impact. But now I would like to highlight how much of all the inputs from stakeholders are essential for the Commission and our work in Brussels. Co-creation with you is at its best and has shown to be at its best during these 2 days on the key topics of the next work programme 23-24, roadmap on advancing materials to the challenges in 2030, forthcoming recommendation on safe and sustainable by design chemicals, Industry 5.0 technology roadmaps. A few words about the work programme 2023-24. We hope to publish the work programme for these years before the end of this year, and we are considering the following priorities. In the manufacturing industry, products and value chains need to be made circular, carbon neutral, and regenerative. Digitalization and artificial intelligence can enable the green transition. In the construction industry, the necessary transition depends on greater digitalization, resilience, and resource efficiency across the board. On energy-intensive industries, the priorities are set to meet the EU targets for the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to REPowerEU package. Effective synergies amongst Horizon Europe, the LIFE programme, and the Innovation Fund should be in place to accelerate the innovation pipelines. We'll also be looking into a new wave of hubs for circularity. These hubs could lead to freshwater savings of up to 40%, 90% of energy savings, and up to 100% material reuse in regions. They also have a strong social innovation dimension. By 2030, we want to see 30 hubs for circularity deployed all over Europe. This morning we spoke a lot about the Materials 2030 manifesto and the new roadmap. It was a very, I would say, lively discussion, very inclusive, very inspiring as well, by those who worked very hard to put it together and who developed the vision and also the action plan. It was published in February of this year, calling for a systemic approach to develop the next generation solution-oriented advanced materials by 2030. The Materials 2030 roadmap presented this morning makes an important proposal to translate the manifesto into concrete actions and invite stakeholders to join the process. A large range of stakeholders, including the signatories of the manifesto, already support it. It has also important implications for the next work programme 23-24, particularly the new feature of innovation markets, the concept of materials commons, the importance of the need to act on data and digitalization and to focus on innovation markets. Another topic very prominent in these 2 days was safe and sustainable by design and the Commission recommendation and framework. During this morning session, we discussed the approach to introduce a safe and sustainable by design framework. The framework is necessary for our EU work programme and for our national research programmes. On future chemicals and materials, we need to move towards a world where we need to ensure that chemicals are safe and they are sustainable already by design. And to this end, there is a clear need of guidance for researchers and innovators who should cooperate with us in the future under a forthcoming Commission recommendation that we hope to present before the end of this year. The new safe and sustainable by design framework under development aims to minimize the impact of the use and production of thousands of substances of concern on the climate, the environment, and also human health during their entire life cycle. It will contribute to steer research and innovation investments from industry and public authorities on circularity in a coherent way. But what about Industry 5.0, a new vision ahead for our people? Commissioner Gabriel announced the 3 finalists for the first Industry 5.0 award, 3 dynamic and technologically innovative European-funded projects, and the winner will be announced at the RANI Days 2022 towards the end of September. The integration of the human-centric dimension of Industry 5.0 in Horizon Europe Work Programme 23-24 will be expanded to truly offer a new vision ahead for our industry and our people and a successful digitalization of industry in Europe. We also discussed the new instrument of technology and roadmaps. The 2 industrial technology roadmaps priorities under the European research area to enhance cooperation with member states will provide an evidence base on the state of play of low carbon and circular industrial technologies in the European Union. These build on contributions from industry, other RNI stakeholders, member states, and relevant European partnerships. Before I conclude, let me remind you of the upcoming European Innovation Agenda, which I've already mentioned, planned for early July. You heard the Commissioner Gabriel announce this initiative at the opening session yesterday. The new European Innovation Agenda planned for early July will be a fundamental step for delivering a new innovation policy that can drive our sustainable and resilient recovery, accelerate the twin green and digital transition, and secure our technological sovereignty. You all heard the Commissioner in her opening address yesterday morning. In conclusion, of course, I have not given justice to the entire program and all the discussions. I think you yourself can make your own personal assessment of that. But in brief, I would say it's been a great event that deserves many happy returns, and congratulations to this conference the French presidency offered to all of you, to all of us, and in particular to Bertrand Fillon and his talented team here in Grenoble. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanna Drake. And now, how does the CEA view Inditech? The answer from François Jacques. Thank you. You're welcome. François Jacques.
Bon après-midi à tous. Good afternoon. So, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, that's my privilege to say a few words at almost the end of this session. Let me start saying how proud we are as CEA to have been able to organize this conference. And thanks to the French Ministry of Research and to the European Commission that trusted us to organize it. And I think I have also to thank all the teams here in Grenoble that were in charge of organizing it and did their best, and I think that's a success. Why do I say it is a success? We as said, we had 80 speakers from 17 member states. We had also 100 exhibitors, and I think that shows that the objectives of the conference were fulfilled. The second thing I wanted to say is clearly that it is probably a symbol that this is the last event of the, let's say, research and technology part of the French presidency. We will hand over to the Czech Republic in 2 days. So I think that's highly symbolic that we dedicated this last event to science and technology. Why? Where do we stand? Macron was saying that there were minor things like COVID or war, and major one like climate. I think there is one major crisis, let's say. Climate, COVID, all that belongs to the same environment. If you're just thinking of COVID, I think COVID has relation with climate. If you look at COVID, where we were in lockdown, where we had only a reduction of 15% of the emission of greenhouse gas effect. 15% reduction. And we found that unbearable because we weren't able to travel and so on. And what we have to achieve is 80%, not 15. So I think COVID, in a sense, was a reminder of how important the climate crisis is. So we stand in a crisis. And this crisis made us realize that we had to change, that we had to see things differently, from supply chain, from new solution to tackle the issue of the twin transition, also the issue of health for the future, and so on. And I think this reminder is very important. Hence, a conference like today's conference, insisting on, stressing, focusing on what technology, research, and innovation can bring to tackle those issues and to provide us with some solution is absolutely essential. That said, of course, I have also to mention what can be the role, what can be the part of organizations like CEA. As you know, CEA is a RTO, Research and Technology Organization, like many of its European counterparts, all grouped in IARTO, the association of the RTO. And I think, again, the crisis, what is happening now, made us realize how important those kind of organizations are. Because what they help us to achieve is this kind of convergence between science, technology, markets, public policy, innovation, companies, economic growth. And I think that's only bringing together all those partners, all those stakeholders, that we may be able to find some new solution. Macron was saying that we have to inspire each other. We have also to work together. And I think to find place where you find this convergence, where you can build together, where you can bring all energies together is absolutely essential. Thank you. That's probably the first step to energy saving. But anyway, so to find this kind of place is absolutely essential, and I think that is also something which was shown during this conference. Let's say also that we have a lot to do, that is to address all those issues. We do not only need the kind of organization like RTO, but we also need the facility, we also need the infrastructure, we also need the teams to work on this subject, and I think that's also something that was clearly addressed during the conference, that is, that we have, in a sense, to build this larger landscape of all facility, infrastructure, technology, and so on we need. What Macron was saying is really important. He mentioned that he used, in a sense, research started 20 years ago in CEA. So, to be able to have such explorer, such adventurer, we also need to have people that daily are running, going one step further each day and preparing the future. That's also a matter of patience, that is to be right there when we need research for innovation. We have to prepare it and we have to reflect on what are the purpose subjects we have to address. And from this perspective, it's clear that we are needing an integrated vision of energy. We are needing an integrated vision of all technologies that will help us tackle the climate issue. We are needing also to mobilize all the IT technologies, from microelectronics to artificial intelligence, to help us again find the solution for tomorrow. For instance, the Director General was mentioning materials in the frame of the manifesto promoted by Commissioner Gabriel, but it's clear that being able to design new materials, it will require us bringing together the resources of modelization, the resources of experimentation, and the resources of large infrastructure where you can study those materials. So all that has to be brought together. And I just want to say 2 words about Material Manifesto, because I think that's a good example. That's an example where we basically decided to go beyond the usual borders between scientific communities, because whatever field you're considering, you need advanced materials. And to find commonalities, to find cross-cutting issues between those fields was certainly at the core of the Materials Manifesto. As said, the session this morning was quite inspiring in developing new ideas and showing us the direction we should go towards, but I think we still need some implementation tools, but I'm quite hopeful that the step taken in the 2 previous years will enable us to go further. So, finally, what I wanted to deliver as a message is that this example of materials, you can generalize it. That's not only for material that you need such kind of approach. Clearly, we now realize that we need to address those transition, those issues, that we need to address those industrial stakes revealed by the crisis, because we have to master, we have to control one way or another all our supply chain. But it also means that this industrial strategy we now have in Europe, it needs strongly a research and technology strategy, which can be at least, if not entirely taken into account by the RTO, but at least strongly boosted by the RTO. So my hope is that this conference is where now we are at the moment we are on the edge, and this conference could mark a step in the right direction, could also be a symbol in terms of the kind of energy we have to mobilize. And again, I want to pay tribute to the 2 great innovators we've seen before, because I think the fact that all those issues are not confined to our scientific and technological communities, but now are shared by larger audience, that we have strong figures being able to, and strong innovators or strong adventurers or strong explorers being able to come also to help us promote those stakes is certainly very encouraging and reassuring. So, that said, I again want to thank all the organizers here in Grenoble, thank to the organization which trusted us organizing that, and I think we are clearly at a key moment, but that we have, if we need, if we want, all the necessary resources, and I think what was shown on the fuel cells was a good example, but there many others could be given. So I hope when we will meet next time for the next conference, we will see already results from this approach. Thank you for your attention.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, François-Jacques. Thank you very much. And now, what is the result of the French presidency? We are going to meet Sylvie Retailleau, French Minister of Higher Education and Research, in live from the Ministry in Paris. Sylvie Retailleau, bonjour, vous nous entendez? C'est à vous.
Bonjour, je vous entends. Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Donc, Madame la Directrice Générale, chère Johanna, Monsieur l'administrateur du CEA, cher François, Mesdames et Messieurs, tout d'abord, je voudrais vous dire combien je suis heureuse de m'adresser à vous aujourd'hui dans ce centre emblématique en clôture d'Indetech au nom de la présidence française du Conseil de l'Union européenne. Je voudrais à cette occasion remercier très sincèrement la Commission européenne de son soutien continu tout au long de cette présidence française de l'Union européenne et qui a été particulièrement intense et sur laquelle je voudrais et j'ai cette opportunité de revenir un instant. Donc je remercie tout d'abord le CEA, le conseil scientifique de la conférence, la ville de Grenoble, capitale européenne de l'environnement, avec cette haute distinction dont elle peut s'enorgueillir aujourd'hui, et puis, bien sûr, les nombreux partenaires de la recherche et de l'industrie qui ont été présents durant ces 3 jours. Et François-Jacques l'a dit, avec de nombreux inventeurs, de nombreux entrepreneurs, aujourd'hui de nombreuses figures qui rejoignent ce domaine de la recherche et de la technologie. Ces visites plénières, ces échanges informels dans le village des partenariats, ces ateliers, l'ensemble du programme était chargé, productif, à la hauteur des défis qui sont vraiment les nôtres aujourd'hui. Donc cet agenda imposant est lié au fait que nous devons réussir cette transformation verte et numérique et garder notre rang de leader mondial dans le secteur industriel. J'ai entendu tout à l'heure vos conclusions, chère Johanna, celles de François-Jacques aussi, ainsi que certains intervenants, et je pense que vous avez effectivement mis en exergue certains points importants de tous ces défis et ces enjeux que nous subissons aujourd'hui. Un petit retour, ce que nous venons de vivre au cours de ces 6 derniers mois. D'abord, l'industrie, s'appuyant sur les atouts industriels de l'Europe, dans le contexte mondial, la présidence a souhaité poursuivre les travaux lancés par la Commission dans le cadre de la stratégie industrielle actualisée, publiée en mai 2021. Elle s'est attachée à transformer cette stratégie en résultats concrets au service de l'autonomie stratégique de l'Union, et cela autour de 2 axes. Premièrement, renforcer la résilience des écosystèmes industriels européens. Deuxièmement, accompagner leur transition verte et numérique et garantir une meilleure gestion de nos dépendances, en particulier via le développement de nouvelles capacités de production européennes. On peut citer les coopérations industrielles concrètes, facilitées par l'instrument de projets importants d'intérêt européen commun, ce qu'on appelait les PIEC, et qui contribuent à structurer à l'échelle européenne des chaînes de valeur, des secteurs et des technologies clés dans les domaines divers de la santé, de l'hydrogène, de l'électronique et du cloud, par exemple. On pourrait aussi citer les travaux de la présidence sur la proposition de législation relative aux puces électroniques, alliant ambition et urgence. Mais ce qui nous rassemble aujourd'hui, ce sont les 41 partenariats et entreprises communes d'Horizon Europe qui permettent de développer ces partenariats publics-privés et dont l'abondement public est financé directement par le budget de l'Union sur des enjeux de recherche stratégique. L'engagement des acteurs aussi bien privés que publics dans le cadre de ces partenariats et qui ont fait leur preuve pour contribuer au développement et à l'innovation font l'objet d'une approche renouvelée dans le cadre d'Horizon Europe. Je souhaite qu'elle soit l'occasion d'un nouveau départ, d'un dynamisme renouvelé, en particulier pour les 3 partenariats qui ont été au cœur de ces 3 jours, Processing for Planet, Clean Steel et Made in Europe. La compétitivité, durabilité et souveraineté pour le futur de l'Europe, tels sont vraiment les mots-clés proposés pour cet événement. Ces 3 axes sont au cœur du moment européen que vous avez fait vivre, que nous sommes en train de vivre. Face à la crise sanitaire, face aux défis climatiques, face aussi à la révolution numérique et face bien sûr et malheureusement à la guerre en Ukraine et à toutes ses conséquences, dans un monde de plus en plus incertain sur le plan géopolitique, mais aussi marqué par les divisions et le scepticisme au cœur de nos États, la meilleure réponse est bien sûr l'Europe. Notre union ne réussit jamais aussi bien que lorsqu'elle défend collectivement et de manière solidaire ses valeurs et ses intérêts. La réponse européenne à la crise de la Covid-19, qui a eu lieu hier, mais encore aujourd'hui, et la crise ukrainienne en attestent bien évidemment. L'Europe a su faire face et se montrer résiliente, fidèle à son modèle. Elle se doit de poursuivre bien évidemment dans cette voie. Ces crises multiples affectent et interrogent le monde de l'enseignement supérieur, de la recherche et de l'innovation. Dans ce domaine, la présidence française, qui s'achèvera demain, s'est attaché à relever ces défis à travers 3 concepts clés: la relance, la puissance et l'appartenance. Dans le domaine de l'enseignement supérieur et de la recherche, les travaux se sont articulés autour de 3 axes. Le premier, le carré de la connaissance, qui raffermit les liens entre la recherche, l'innovation et l'enseignement supérieur, avec bien sûr les services à la société. Le second, l'Europe et la jeunesse, à travers les alliances européennes d'universités ou universités européennes, un dispositif qui est né dans le droit fil du discours de la Sorbonne en 2017 et sur lequel nous reviendrons demain, le 30 juin, à Versailles, au cours du campus des universités européennes. Et puis le troisième, l'Europe globale de la recherche et de l'innovation, qui a été l'objet de la déclaration de Marseille sur les principes et les valeurs de la recherche et qui a été lancée le 8 et 9 mars dernier. Dans le cadre de cette présidence française, ce ministère a organisé plus de 15 conférences, colloques, réunions, offrant à toutes et à tous une plateforme de travail, d'échange autour de ces grands dossiers du moment. L'avenir des alliances européennes d'université, les synergies entre l'enseignement supérieur et la recherche, les principes et les valeurs de la recherche, mais aussi la diplomation européenne, l'engagement citoyen dans la recherche et les missions européennes, et puis bien sûr, l'innovation de rupture dans les territoires et les régions, avec les carrières des chercheurs et, comme l'a signalé François-Jacques tout à l'heure, les infrastructures de recherche et les technologies industrielles du futur, ceci pour n'en citer que quelques-uns. Dans un même temps, dans le champ de l'enseignement supérieur et de la recherche, près de 80 événements ont été labellisés PFUE et se sont tenus sur l'ensemble des territoires. Cette mobilisation a permis de nourrir et d'enrichir les travaux de la présidence. Récemment, nous avons adopté en Conseil de compétitivité plusieurs textes importants sur la gouvernance des missions européennes, sur aussi l'ouverture de la science, incarnant cette dynamique de refondation de l'espace européen de la recherche et qui a été souhaitée aussi par la commissaire Gabrielle, que je remercie. Nous avions également pu, le 4 avril, en Conseil éducation jeunesse, adopter une série de recommandations sur les universités européennes. Nous sommes fiers de cette réussite et d'avoir pu, dans un contexte difficile, donner à voir et à penser l'Europe. Je voudrais avec vous, pour terminer, en ces temps de perturbation, revenir sur la figure de Marie Curie, une figure européenne de la recherche et de l'industrie à laquelle notre présidence rendait hommage les 23 et 24 mai dernier à Paris au cours de la conférence marquant les 25 ans du programme Portons son nom. C'est sa sagacité et son courage qui ont ouvert la voie vers la maîtrise de la radioactivité. Chaque année, des millions de patients atteints du cancer en bénéficient. Ce sont autant de vies préservées. Et sans doute davantage demain dans notre lutte contre le changement climatique avec un nucléaire civil, maîtrisé et diversifié comme nous le souhaitons dans notre stratégie France 2030. On ne pourra y parvenir sans investir dans la formation et le capital humain. À cet égard, je fais mien les propos qu'on lui prête. Je la cite, « Vous ne pouvez pas espérer construire un monde meilleur sans améliorer les individus. » Son engagement et son talent, son opiniâtreté doivent nous inspirer aujourd'hui, comme l'a dit tout à l'heure Mike Horn, et je pense que cette notion d'inspiration est quelque chose d'important pour notre jeunesse, bien sûr. Et n'oublions pas que l'Europe, c'est la jeunesse, comme le montrent les contributions de la conférence sur l'avenir de l'Europe. C'est avec cette jeunesse et avec tous ceux que le projet européen d'émancipation et de progrès ne laisse pas indifférents sur tous les continents et que nous pourrons construire l'industrie de demain et offrir aussi cette sécurité et prospérité aux générations qui arrivent. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Madame le Ministre. Sylvie Retailleau était en direct de Paris. Merci, thank you very much. Thank you. As you know, the Czech presidency will start on July 1st, and we are going to meet Radka Vildová, Czech Deputy Minister of Education and Research, live from Paris. Radka Vildová, it's your turn. it's okay. It's for you. What's your state of mind today?
Dear Mr. Chairman, dear Madam Minister, ladies and gentlemen, to start with, let me highly appreciate the French presidency for organizing this particular event, which is dedicated to industrial technologies and focuses on the implementation of the green and digital transition of the European economy. Unfortunately, and much to my regret, I wasn't able to come to Grenoble in person due to the other working commitments in these days, which are related to the start of the Czech presidency. However, I am very glad and truly honored to have the opportunity to join the conference, at least in this way, virtually. It is my great pleasure to represent the upcoming Czech presidency of the Council of EU. In my brief intervention, I would like to shortly inform you on the priorities of Czech presidency in the area of research and also comment on the topics of relevant for this conference. The upcoming Czech presidency will be historically the second presidency held by Czechia after the first round in 2009. It will follow the 18-month program of the presidency trio, which was elaborated jointly with France and Sweden. When it comes to the area of research, the priorities will focus on advancing the European research infrastructure ecosystem, enhancing the synergies in funding of research and innovation in Europe, and development of a new European innovation agenda. In the area of research infrastructures, our ambition is to facilitate debates leading to adoption of the Council conclusions, setting out of the policy orientation to develop a fully integrated European research infrastructure ecosystem. On top of that, the Brno Declaration shall call on the research infrastructure stakeholders from all around the world to elaborate on the concept of the global research infrastructure ecosystem. Regarding synergies, the Czech presidency envisions endorsement of the Prague Declaration on synergies in the research and innovation funding in Europe. To debate this topic in detail, we will hold a flagship conference on informal meeting of European research ministers in Prague. Lastly, one of the top priorities of the Czech presidency will be innovations. In this particular area, we are expecting publication of the Commission communication to become the basis of the Council conclusions on innovation, outlining the implementation of a new European innovation agenda. Now, coming back to the conference program, allow me to mention several topics linked to the areas of industry and industrial technologies. First of all, I would like to mention the European partnership landscape. We perceive the European partnership as a powerful tool for bringing the European business at the forefront of the global production, innovation, and competitiveness. In particular, the industrial partnerships shall have a vital role in achieving these goals. For example, the partnerships developed in the areas of key digital technologies, smart networks and services, artificial intelligence, or robotics. The key digital technologies joint undertaking, being a tripartite partnership, has a unique position in the industrial partnership landscape. It brings together all relevant stakeholders from within the European Commission, participating state, industrial association, and academia. Building on the success of the Artemis, ENIAC, and ESCO joint undertakings, it can serve as a good practice of a long-term strategic cooperation with tangible results. In addition, it is also a good practice example of a successful intersectoral cooperation between industry and academia that contributes to valorization of scientific results in innovations and their uptake by the market. In general, we need to ensure that the European cooperation remains open to factors from all the member states and no closed clubs are created in order to build an inclusive European research area and guarantee that all the member states and regions develop in a competitive way. The same stands for the European mission under Horizon Europe. We perceive the EU missions as a tremendous opportunity to contribute to solving the most pressing global societal and economic challenges. The EU missions have objectives that are targeted, bold but realistic, time-bound and measurable. They are interdisciplinary in the nature and cut across a broad range of scientific fields and call on the contributions from other sectoral fields. To conclude, nowadays, European industry is facing numerous challenges. We shall work together to ensure its global leadership and competitiveness in view of the geopolitical situation in the world and the ambition of the EU to reach the open strategy autonomy in the key technology domains. I sincerely believe that the END Tech 2022 conference marked another step on the way to the globally competitive European research and industry. Thank you very much for your attention and thank you very much for inviting me to speak here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Radka Vildova. Live from Paris. Thank you. Thank you so much. Full success for your presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, as a conclusion, we have understood that tomorrow's industry will be competitive, sustainable, and sovereign, or it will not be. We hand over the torch to our Czech friends and wish them every success. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to all of the contributors and speakers. Thank you to all the technical and logical teams. We were very happy to receive you here in Grenoble during these 2 days. Welcome back and see you soon. Thank you very much.